Hi, I'm Mita Mistry from Barfi Culture, and with me today is Asma Khan. She is the founder of Darjeeling Express in London, a beautiful restaurant, and she's also the author of Asma's Indian Kitchen. Hi, Asma, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. We really want to find out about how you are getting on and how your business is getting on through this pandemic. So, how is the restaurant industry affected by this?
It's been devastating for us because the thing is that, I feel that, we should have been given guidelines earlier. Uh, Many of us were very nervous serving large numbers of people in very close proximity at a time when we knew what was happening in Paris. They'd already closed all the restaurants. We knew this had happened in New York. And of course, we knew the story from Italy, which was devastating.
Mm.
Yet we were still being allowed to trade. And from the middle of March, it was just getting so hard. The actual formal lockdown came a week after I closed. So
Mm.
I closed a week before the lockdown. I
Mm.
could not risk it. I
Mm.
could not risk the close service that is required in our restaurant.
Mm.
So and I had, of course, with all the kind of thinking that I knew what was happening, I felt this was for a few weeks, maybe a
Mm.
couple of months. No idea that it was going to be such a severe lockdown and the
Mm.
length of time and the fact that now I know we will open last.
Mm. Mm. So, how do you think restaurants are going to survive this pandemic?
The thing is that the sad thing is it's not just only the good who will survive.
Mm.
What will make restaurants survive is those who have tolerant, large, people with deep pockets, investors.
Mm.
I am very, very anxious, and this I saw even from February during the Chinese New Year. The small family-run restaurants in Chinatown were empty
Mm.
because people showing prejudice
Mm.
stopped going to Chinatown because of what was happening in Wuhan.
Mm.
Uh, and it's going to take them, they're the ones who are really going to suffer. So it's not necessarily the good who will survive.
Mm.
It's the ones that actually managed to kind of could do a deal with their landlord. And
Mm.
we all have read stories about prominent leading chefs sacking 600, 700 people from their workforce, and terrible stories of you know uh, ex sommeliers and waiters and waitresses sleeping rough in Trafalgar Square. They
Mm.
once worked in a restaurant, and they might be those restaurants that survive because they dumped their entire staff onto the street and left them on their own.
Mm.
So how each restaurant survives may be different stories. There
Mm.
is no classic story that this is the formula to survive. That's not how it's going to work.
Mm.
Same with Indian restaurants, which I know a lot more about.
Mm.
Uh, those that are actually where they mortgage their house, where the entire family's income came from the restaurant. So like the father, the grandson, all everybody's income depended on that.
Mm.
They are in trouble for
Mm.
them because the thing is that the money stops for everybody.
Yeah.
uh, so it's just depends on. So I think those where it is the entire family involved will
Mm-hmm.
suffer disproportionately and may not open. Those that have landlords who are very unhelpful, especially private landlords,
Mm-hmm.
those with institutional landlords will survive, like mine.
Mm-hmm.
I have a big institutional landlord, more happy to negotiate with me about the rent. So it's all these other factors,
Yeah.
not to do with the quality of the restaurant, which will dictate those that survive and those that
No,
close.
that's great. So, in terms of your restaurant opening, what are your plans? Are you thinking about how you're going to open, or is that somewhere so off in the future that it's not even on your radar?
No, I am thinking of it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a moment when I don't think about it. I worry a lot of how I will open. And, I start off with worrying about, I have a very small kitchen. Those who've been to Darjeeling Express will know it's an open kitchen, but it's a very small kitchen. It's not even 2 meters wide. Uh, so how we will, manage, what will I do with all the fact that all my staff uh, live in very far away. For
Mm.
them, public transport is the only option. you
Mm.
know how do I expose them to the public transport? They're coming in at the same time that half of London is on the move.
Yeah.
uh, so all of these things worries me deeply. I tried to call all of them. I said that, do you want to learn how to cycle? Everyone like just rolled their eyes at me when we had this chat on Zoom. They're like, really? I mean, they're all in their 50s and 60s, they've never cycled in their lives. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, like, all try to cycle,
Yes.
but it's not realistic because they live too far away for them actually realistically to cycle. So I worry about that. I'm trying to see if I can move two of my women closer to where I live so I
Mm-hmm.
can take them in a taxi every day. It's
Mm.
all these concerns because,
Yeah,
uh, there is a huge risk of, infection
of
in closed
course.
spaces. And the tube is like, my God, an incubator
Mm.
for infection.
Mm. So it's a huge responsibility, that you feel towards them and your staff as well. But I suppose there's the practicalities of the actual restaurant opening, like the social distancing of tables, and
Yeah.
that must be something that you are thinking about too.
Yeah, the thing is that, it may not affect everybody because some people have outside space and, there it is a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, my rent is eye-watering. If
Mm.
I had to run my restaurant with half the tables because of social distancing and half the covers, it's not worth my while.
Right.
I would lose money by opening.
Mm.
So I'm in no hurry to open.
Yeah.
If there's a 2 meter distance requirement. I mean, I want to see which restaurant has, tons of toilets and hand washing facilities.
Mm.
You can put, sanitizers everywhere, but it's impractical. It's
Mm.
impractical because there is a physical closeness. We are very lucky, and so I could technically open without these fears because one entire side of my restaurant are windows which open up.
Mm.
I'm on the roof of Kingly Court. There's
Mm.
just a lot of kind of fresh air coming in.
Mm.
So I'm lucky, but I worry about other restaurants which are like in basements or
Yeah.
don't have that ability to open up their windows without, half of, the noise.
Mm.
Mine is very peaceful, so I could open. So
Mm.
I have that big advantage over a lot of other restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
I feel very lucky because I can open one entire side of my restaurant is just windows. We have
Mm.
huge windows on the roof as well. We open that, so that whole idea of ventilation, making it safer, will
Mm-hmm.
make it possible. But it is extremely difficult. I mean, how do you serve someone on a table 2 meters apart, and even if it is reduced to what some other countries have done, 1 meter apart? I
Mm.
mean, you're not some kind of superwoman.
Yeah.
How do you even get the food onto their table?
Mm.
And
Mm.
how do you make it meaningful? How
Yeah.
do you make that meal meaningful
Sure.
without, pushing and shoving things towards them? The whole idea is service. People
Mm.
come for the food, but they
Mm.
also come for service, for
Mm.
this whole idea of being looked after. And,
Mm.
I serve every table in my restaurant. So
Mm.
those who've eaten with me will know this. I serve every table, I take orders, I clean tables.
Mm.
I'm not the person who's sitting at the back. I am actually looking after you because for me, the restaurant is like my home. I look after you like a guest in my own house. How am I going to do this? I have to learn
Yeah.
to also learn to be different, which
Mm.
is painful, which is painful.
Mm. Of course, and especially if that's your passion and that's what you've been doing and you love
Yeah.
engaging with your customers, it's difficult to have that connection, isn't it? So,
Yeah, it is. It's hard to imagine how, what is the new normal going to be like for
mm,
us. Some restaurants will do better and adapt and manage, and it'll be so nice for them that, finally people can go to those restaurants.
mm,
Uh, I have to find a new route
mm,
because the way that our restaurant was, we can't, we cannot do it just like that anymore.
mm,
You have to think of something else.
mm,
But we can't do takeaway either. Our food is very hard to do takeaway with.
mm. Okay. So, and in terms of the industry, obviously there's a lot of restaurateurs in the same boat. Do you all support one another, or do you have anywhere where you share your concerns?
There are lots of organizations that have been set up. I will not name them, but they have
Sure.
been set up. But they have been set up by people who have a very vested interest. They are larger restaurateurs, restaurant groups. They're restaurants that are very dependent on their alcohol trade. They
Mm-hmm.
are they are people who have self-selected in their group. People who look and sound like them. So it's a very male-dominated, a very white organization. Uh, I don't see myself as part of that. I have been doing other things. I have been talking to a lot of chefs of South Asian restaurants who were sacked. So I'm supporting them, and many of them even financially. I do their groceries, and I chat to them. I chat endlessly to a lot of them to give them hope, to talk about old Mohammed Rafi songs.
Oh,
And
nice.
because the thing is that they have everything has been stripped away from them, and I'm building up a network. I would love to set up a union of Indian restaurant, Indian as in mean South Asian,
South Asian, yeah.
of workers, not of restaurant owners. And I'm saying this as a restaurant owner. Too many have been exploited. And I think that it's time that we recognize the fact in this pandemic, too many were abandoned too. And it is shameful. So I am concerned about the hands that cook. I'm concerned about the families back in Bihar and in Punjab and Sylhet and Lahore who are waiting for the income from these people. For me, they are my priority, and not necessarily the priority of other people. And so it is different. And, I just want to, I've been telling all of them, that one thing we should all do is let's set up, a cricket team.
Yeah.
Of all the people in our industry, and let's play cricket. So I have India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and let's do something which will bring us all together. And I told them I'll pay for the kit and I'll find somewhere that we can play. Let us, because the thing is that the other harsh reality is that many of the people who are cooking in these restaurants, not highly educated, not very articulate. There's also a class factor that they feel that they will not challenge the owners because there is this old-fashioned cultural baggage that they're carrying, which I can understand. So I don't expect them to go and tell their boss, their malik as they call them, that, why are you doing this? Because they will not do it.
Yeah.
I understand this, that you cannot get them to do this. But we can play cricket and we can do big biryani picnic in Hyde Park, and we can do tamasha and solidarity in other ways. And through this route, I want people to know that, there are many of us in the same boat. There's no shame. The shame is not yours because you've lost your job. Okay. You cannot be, ashamed of the fact that someone didn't honor and respect your labor. So yeah, it's very complicated. So yes, a lot of industry initiatives going on. I have no criticism of them. They're very good. They're making a difference. I hope they negotiate a great deal. But if there was a table on which Boris Johnson and Rishi sat down and wanted to talk to the industry, I wish they would come and talk to people like me. Because they will have on their table big restaurant industry, big, breweries, all of those with their interests coming in. They are not going to protect people like me. But I did this with my restaurant as well. When I wanted to open my restaurant and I wanted to get in the food industry, there was no one who sounded like me, who looked like me, who was my age. When I started, I was in my 40s, late 40s, when I opened the industry. No one looked like me. No one was like me. No one had a kitchen full of, dadis and nanis and ammis, all female kitchen. Today, anyone can do anything. Now, if you wanted to go to a landlord or to your bank and say, see that Darjeeling Express story, I'm going to surpass her. I'm going to have this great Gujarati concept. I'm going to do this. You have someone you can point to and say, look at her, I will be better than her. And I would want to see that. I want to see the day when Asian women set up restaurants and do better than me.
Yeah.
But I had to mow down a path that no one had been to ever before and create a restaurant like no one else has seen. But I've done it. I've for everybody who wants. So the thing is that, same with the industry. I think that we need representation. We need unionization. I think that, we need to have a collective, because on our own we are divided and we're weak and we allow exploitation. Too much exploitation happens. in our industry.
Okay. So there's a lot of structural issues there as well involved. Okay. So, I mean, during this pandemic, a lot of people are tapping into their creativity. How is yours being affected during this time?
I have, I have to be very honest, I have not enjoyed the washing up and cooking in my house. I'm running the dishwasher the whole day. I have two kids who are eating non-stop. Sometimes I feel cooking for 200 people in my restaurant was easier than two boys in my house. Because they're like, what else is there? Oh, we had this yesterday. What else is that? I said, like, it doesn't look like I'm running a restaurant. No, you can't tell me you ate this yesterday. You want something else today. Eat the leftovers. I mean, no, but they're very sweet. It's just that it is hard work. The cooking has been, I've like struggled because I have not cooked for like 4 people, I think, for the last 4 years. For me, I've been cooking for like, 50, 60, 200 people. So that took a time. So first 1 week, I burnt a lot of food, not getting it right because I have not been doing it. I just forgot, what it is to cook a small quantity of food. So that was tough. But my creativity has actually been directed at another side. I am reading a lot. I am writing. I'm writing a cookbook, my second cookbook. I'm writing something else as well, which is not a cookbook, but like a cookbook. I'm also trying to read and understand Urdu poetry. During Ramzan or Ramadan, I tried to learn to read Arabic again, because of course I could, but then I'd stopped. So I'm using the time and I have, after years, started writing poetry. Because I used to write a lot of poetry before I got married. Then I came to this country and, life took over. And now I write poetry and I send it to my father because of the time difference. Abba is awake, very early to say his morning prayers. So I send it to him. He corrects it because I'm writing not just in English, but I'm attempting to write in Urdu. So I'm probably having kind of the best time in my life as far as writing and reading is concerned. I am being able to express both. I am from the East and I'm from the West because I grew, I was born in the East. My roots are deeply Eastern, but I have lived in the West for longer. So I write in 2 languages. So it reflects everything I am today.
Amazing. So we look forward to reading your poetry book, or is it a cookbook and a poetry book?
The poetry, I'm still too embarrassed to have it out. So the cookbook, yes, I'm working on cookbook and another book. But the poetry, I feel ashamed. I haven't even let my sons read a lot of it. I occasionally read out bits to them, but then they're my kids. They tell me it's great, but I don't know. I feel so shy. I feel very scared to make it public.
Well, maybe one day we'll see. Yeah. No, that's great. That's lovely. Thank you so much, Asma. We really appreciate it. It's so lovely to talk to you, and I can't wait to visit Darjeeling Express. I've seen you cook on Saturday Kitchen, and my mouth was watering. It looked amazing.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.